Welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with Julia and Philip Siracusa. Sponsored by Carnation. Airing live on United Public Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. This show's opening has been produced, edited, narrated by Gwen Luckett at gluckett.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Siracusa, and Philip Siracusa. We are broadcasting live from the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate in chat. Go to our YouTube page, UFO Paranormal Radio. Go to all of our Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Horsefly Chronicles Radio, SoundCloud, Podbean, Twitch, and all of those platforms that you could watch podcasts in. So please, guys, please welcome to the show fellow UPRN host, psychic medium Kerrilynn Shellhorn. She is an amazing psychic medium and radio host who engages in conversations with her guests about all things paranormal. She is determined to show people that interaction with spirit is a normal part of our everyday lives. So please, let's welcome her to the show.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
It's nice to see you both.
Thank you. Good to see you too. Thanks for coming on tonight. And so tell us about your abilities.
I see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. So
there
it's
you go.
For me. The smell, and it's interesting too, because the smell used to really bother me, but I think once you set those boundaries about what's going to work for you and what doesn't, they switch it, right? Like cigarette smoke used to make me gag, but as soon as I said, I need you to show me differently, it makes my nose itchy now. So I know I went from smelling cigarette smoke to if my nose gets itchy, I know I'm with a smoker, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with spirits, you communicate differently with each spirit?
Yeah, depending on how they want to present at the beginning, right? So, and it depends too on where I'm connecting, if it's a session, if it's an investigation, if I've been asked to go in somewhere, like it depends on how the experience is, on how I'm tapping in and connecting with them as well too.
Now, take us to the beginning. How did you get started with your gifts?
When I started doing this work full time, or when I realized that
Were you born into it? 2 years old, 3 years old, 10 years old?
Very little. So my grandparents, I'm from Northern Ontario, and my grandparents owned this big plot of land that they severed some of the property for my parents to build the house that I grew up in beside them. And I was 5 when we moved into that house, and full-time, like beside my grandparents. So seeing spirits at my grandparents' house when I was there more full-time. So I was 5 when I started having those experiences. When I was older, I had a local cable television show about my abilities, and we did some research about my family for that first episode, and I found like newspaper articles about my great grandfather, and he used to read tea leaves and water witch wells and all that kind of stuff as well too. So he had the same ability, and it was his farmhouse that I grew up beside. Mm-hmm.
So this started at a young age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It started at a young age.
So it grew with you as you became older. You became more wisdom.
Yes, I had children really young. Like I was married at 21 and had my first baby. I was a very young mom, and so I was very focused on my children. Had a kiddo that is in the autism spectrum as well too, which was also very time consuming. Still having that, but not doing this as a career until he was in his teens. My oldest son was in his teens, but all of my children had the same experiences as I did. So they were having experiences as children. So within our home, it was very normal and talked about, but as a career, it started later for me. I was 37, I think, and I'm 53 now. So somewhere in there, mid 30s. Mid 30s.
Your Generation X.
Yeah. Is that what is that? I always get confused with that.
We're Generation X. I'm 56. We're the tough ones. We're the ones who had to drink out of water hoses, garden hoses when we were little. That was our sports drink.
We weren't allowed in the house too much.
Our phone was catching lightning bugs in the middle of the night.
Yeah. So, yes, that was our. We would have bears in our backyard. Like that's how we grew up. So, middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Wow.
Children are really lucky that they have a mom that understands what they're going through in the psychic and spiritual sense, because not a lot of families have that.
Well, and how I feel it benefited my children was it helped them feel confident when they were making decisions, because they were trusting what they were intuitively feeling about a direction that they're going, and not giving their power away to somebody outside of them and wanting somebody else's opinion to be greater than how they were feeling about a situation. Right. So I find that's how it really benefited them. And, whether they don't necessarily want this to be their career. They all have chosen paths, right? But their intuition is a big part of who they are and helping them feel confident about the things that they're doing. Look at all those Gen X comments.
Let's give a shout out to everybody in chat. We got Cindy, Contessa, Sean Kelly. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
I love him. He's so fun. He's such a nice guy.
Into the Night, Sundays and Tuesdays with Sean Kelly.
Yes, Andrea, Trevor. Well, there's a lot of people in here.
Hi, Sandy Cordick.
Christiana, Cindy, Sandy, Jennifer. Thank you all for being in chat.
Wow, you have a big audience.
Yeah.
You cover a lot of people. I'm going to have to hit you with some hard questions then. So you're going to have to impress everybody tonight, because I get straight to it. I don't hold any games. You know me. I'm cut and dry.
Before you get into the really tough stuff and get ready for that.
Okay. Yeah.
We have an autistic son too. Do you feel like they're more tuned in to everything around them? What is your opinion on that?
Our children? Sorry, tell me again.
We also have an autistic son. So do you feel like they are? Yeah.
I feel because they communicate differently, right? Yeah. They're communicating differently and they see differently. So I find within our family structure, and I've had, because when you're in that world, you meet other parents in a support system, right? So even my son is high functioning, but we met so many people with nonverbal children who were still communicating telepathically. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that I learned, that autistic kids are extra sensitive, and we need to honor and respect how they communicate, because he was really my teacher, for sure. He was my teacher in learning how to communicate differently, right? Which is part of our intuitive senses and trusting how we feel and how our body's responding to things.
Absolutely. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely was my best teacher.
Okay, Phil, you want to hit over?
That's all you have? That's all you have? Is that one little thing? That's it?
No, I mean,
that's a great question. And you know what, Julia, that when I started doing this full time, it was I had a parenting radio show for parenting children who are intuitive to support families that had children. Hi, Susan. So yeah, and I used to have summer camps for kids. So like the kids that were having experiences could get together and we would do things, intuitive games. We talk about chakras. We talk about grounding. We would do creative things as well too. Sound. We would make rain sticks. You know, we just did all kinds of fun stuff with summer camps.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, kids with autism, I believe, just living with someone with autism, that they have special abilities that they may see things we don't even see and interpret things differently in a more rational way sometimes than we could even put together. It's very interesting, very, very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And to be patient, to be present, like they just really teach us so many things.
They do. And you see both sides of how we are and how kids with special needs are, and then their abilities. They have abilities we don't even have, like an extra. So, what's your thoughts on heaven and hell?
Heaven and hell?
Yeah.
From experience and observation, I would say that the heaven, but that both places, from my experience and observation, are created from our own belief system, from our own actions. Like whenever I've seen people coming through, they'll show me their heaven space, and it's really like where they're most happy. And I've not really seen a hell space. What I would say is hell, or what we would normally consider or as a hell space. I've seen it where people are having to see their thoughts, words, and actions and how it affected people. So if they were doing a lot of not nice things, what it was like for them to feel what they contributed to humanity while they were here. And that seemed to be their hell space until they processed all of those things. So, I mean, the one fellow, it scared me. Like I literally slept with the light on for 3 nights. And it was the first time, like I guzzled back a bottle of wine when I was done that day. And so I knocked myself out. I'm sure I woke the neighbors up snoring so bad from that bottle of wine and sleeping with the light on for 3 days, because he turned his face around, the fellow in spirit, and showed me that hell space for him. And he was watching all the things that he did, and they were very horrible, horrible things. And he turned his face to show me, and it looked like the screen mask, like it was all elongated and stretched out from him feeling the pain that he inflicted, and on his daughter, not just like random people. It was his own daughter that he did these horrible things to. So, I mean, that's and I guess too, my only other personal experience would be my grandfather in that house that I grew up beside. He had a near-death experience, and he had bleeding ulcers that burst in his stomach, and he died. And they brought him back, and he said that when he died, and he's like this very trapper, hunter, farmer, welder, pipe fitter, German stoic man, like very German and stoic. And he said when he died, he saw his dad, his brothers, a field of wild roses, and every horse they ever owned. And he said he was no longer scared to die because he believed that's where he was going to go. And yeah, was his belief system. I've never had a near-death experience. I just know from observation that sort of, and I think from observation and doing sessions, really driving that home to my kids, like every thought, word, deed, or action accumulates, right? The things that you do matter.
So when your grandfather crossed over, he had the best of things that he liked in the physical realm that manifested into that spiritual realm of heaven?
I guess. Well, the horses for sure were a thing. Like my grandpa used to braid horses' manes and tails for show. He taught me how to braid hair. Like he was just that guy. So I know that was really important to him. The wild roses sort of threw me because, I mean, he used to have this like log cabin in behind the original farmhouse, and he would stretch and tan hides from the animals that he trapped and stuff like that. And he would tell us stories. We would just all sit out there, and he would say things like, old trappers never die, they just smell like it, like he'd say stuff like that. And then here he's talking about roses, which was such a soft thing for this man who was so
interesting,
harsh, right? But their driveway had those pink wild rose bushes lining their driveway on both sides. So I don't know if that was home to him, if those represented home, not necessarily something, I don't know. It's a good question though.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because a lot of times they only talk about what they want to talk about on the other side. It's just like, and the roses, maybe it was something that you just had to think about a little bit, but I guess over there, it was kind of like a validation, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe just what he needed to feel okay about whatever was happening. I don't know. I just know that he was very open about talking about his experience, and he was very clear that he was not scared to die after that.
Yeah.
And we hear that quite often too. People that have near-death experiences aren't afraid to cross over. And then here comes the people with abilities like yourself, right? You have spiritual abilities, and we have paranormal investigators.
Yeah.
Who are we talking to? Are we talking to the shadows and silhouettes of the person that was? Or are we talking to something that is mimicking what we think it is?
Well, there's so many theories or possibilities, right? If it's a session, are we tapping into who that person maybe, like our client is thinking about? So are we tapping into them? Are we really tapping in on the other side? I don't know. There's lots of theories to it. Are we tapping into, if we're doing investigations, to future us coming back to try to talk to us? Like there's all kinds of different theories to look at it. I feel I'm tapping into actual spirits, because especially like when like that fellow that came through that showed me the scream mask, those kind of sessions they're hard sessions to do, but those are my favorite sessions to tap into. Sessions where there's addictions, or where they come in showing me they did all these things, but here's how they're trying to atone, and here's how they're trying to make amends. And you can feel the energy where it's thick and heavy and shift to really light, and the information's flowing really fast after that. When it's in that heavier space, it's kind of sluggish, like you're talking like the teacher from Charlie Brown, almost wah, 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 until it gets lighter when they're talking about how they need forgiveness for themselves and their actions and what they're trying to do and how their actions affected this person. And, they'll outline, these are all of the things that happened because I did this. And that's pretty evidential. So I would say, for me, I'm tapping into that person in spirit.
I would agree with that. I would agree. When you channel through, it's the person that you're trying to connect with if you have a strong enough intent. But if you're doing a paranormal investigation at a home,
yes,
and you think you're talking to someone that died there from way back in the day, those are the cases that are tricky, because those are the cases that we don't really know. Is it Mrs. Jones who lived there and died there? Or is it something else? And I'll tell you why I say that. I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been out on many locations, and Mrs. Jones wouldn't act a certain way, but yet they say it's Mrs. Jones or whoever. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they act malevolent.
Right.
And you have to ask yourself now, that's why I asked you a few minutes ago, what were your thoughts on heaven and hell? Because knowing paranormal and knowing the supernatural, that demonic entities do exist. Period. But then how do we separate it in such a way because these negative entities can play trickery to the mind and make you think you're the little child in the home, like the
Right.
Sally House.
So I have not, I would say, as far only from personal experience in investigations and from personal experience to this point, the lower energies that I have tapped into are those bullyish spirits, whether they're stuck, that are trying to accumulate or feed off of spirits that have also died on that property. Like, in a couple of occasions, I've run across that. I've run across dimensional things for sure that I can't explain. Got growled at and scratched by something. I don't know what I would classify it as or where it came from. I just
Yeah. You got scratched and growled, which labels something that's not friendly.
Nope,
Right.
nope. That was not a friendly thing, and it was a good learning lesson for me too, because at the time I wasn't educated properly. I was not knowledgeable enough to be doing what I thought, and so that was the best learning thing for me to have happened. So got educated really quickly, and I've not had an experience like that since,
That's
which is
great.
good.
Lucky for you. You know what's interesting too is that what we have learned, and again, science doesn't prove it because science can't back it up, and science isn't everything because we know things that science doesn't talk about, or maybe they're just not there yet, right?
Yeah.
But we know when you investigate a location, and sometimes you will pick up the spirit that's crossed over there because that's their home, right? Sometimes they don't want to cross over. But
Well,
what's interesting is,
even those lower spirits, I still that those spirits that feel heavy, I still go in super respectful to them, because are they miserable because no one's paying attention to help them? Like, I still look at those. I go in as an open slate. If they say it's so and so with this name, I just go, and I file it somewhere so that I can go in and just see for myself if they show me something different or if they're going to validate that. I'm not sure. But anyway, I interrupted you. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
well, no, that's fine. But what I was going to go with this is that sometimes we'll hear somebody say, help me through a spirit box or whatnot.
Wow.
And then we find out that there's an evil entity, not a person that ever existed,
Right.
chasing them. And then the question becomes, I don't know the answer to this, but the question becomes, are they on that same dimension sometimes where that entity can invade the space spiritually to that person that's crossed over? Because we've encountered that numerous times. And we don't want to think such a thing. We don't. But it's true. And it's factual. And you could ask anybody who's seasoned in the field, who's done serious locations, that these things happen. And we ask why.
Yeah.
Um,
And spirits, like those lower energies, even dimensional, you can be in separate locations where they're still tapping into both locations and making themselves known in two locations, right? Like, if they want to follow somebody and create havoc, they can.
Yep, absolutely. We
Mhm.
have two questions. Contessa, don't spirits validate it's them when they come through to the person receiving the message?
Yes, Contessa. So in a personal session, for sure, and when I investigate and spirits are coming through, I have a very clear structure that I follow when I'm doing sessions, and it's a show me who, what, when, where, why, how, right from how you died to experiences, how you're hanging out, where you're hanging out. Remote viewing is a part of every session as well too. So they do validate, but and it will feel different. I don't know how you guys can share with me too. Like, when you're picking up psychically, it energetically feels different from when you're tapping in, like mediumship wise pulls up and psychically is kind of out. That's how it works for me. It may not work for everybody that way, but it feels differently. Like if I was picking up from a client,
Right, I agree. Right, it feels different.
Yeah.
And once the spirit you're trying to communicate with, someone's loved one that's crossed over, you'll get, however you get that, you'll feel the truth of it, right?
Yeah.
And then when you go into the unknown, you really don't know what you're looking at or who you're talking to.
Yeah.
It's an open forum of, you're in a cemetery and you don't know who's coming through, or a building.
Those are my favorite places, though. I love hanging out at cemeteries. I love it. I absolutely love it. And there's one cemetery that we've come across, and it's super fun. So my friend Jody comes with me all the time. We actually use the geocaching app. So like to go geocaching, those geocachers hide stuff in these like pioneer cemeteries that are like, don't have a sign. They find all these like crazy places. And we have found some crazy places to check cemeteries that we found through geocaching app to investigate.
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I had a bad experience. I mean, once we were looking for, a spirit that was buried in a cemetery, at a special location, and she was actually throwing rocks at us. And I will never, ever, ever forget that. And it kind of like really kind of freaked me out. It was crazy.
So
rocks thrown at us.
We had a scary experience at this one cemetery that I will not name because I don't want people going there and defacing anything or disrespecting that particular cemetery. But it started yelling out right away, demon, beware, don't come in. And when we were going, I kept seeing this person almost like they were giving a sermon with all of these other spirits. And as they saw us walking, they spread. And then it was angry, making us feel sick to our stomach. It was intense. That was intense. And I realized it was a Sunday. So I said, let's go back and we'll do it on a Saturday and see if it's different on a Saturday. Because if it was a minister, we were interrupting his service, or if he was like, because they scattered when we got there, and he was really trying to push us out. When we got there on the Saturday, it was different. It was less intense, and we didn't get all those same sort of warnings. But I think I still want to go back and explore that a little bit more, because I know that he wasn't a demon. I know that he was waiting to see what kind of response we would give him. And I still kind of pushed back until we started feeling nauseous, and then it was like time to go.
Yeah. You always know when your time's up and it's time
to when to tap out.
Exactly. I do have a question.
Tap out, yeah.
Philip, Jennifer says, Philip, when I heard you speak on Kerrilynn's show, it was the freakiest show I've ever listened to. And I hope everything in your house is better now. Jennifer, thank you. It's pretty much the same. I don't think it's ever really gonna get better. It's just a matter of how you deal with it and the protection that you take, and hopefully one day we'll be able to.
It's funny. I'm up at 2:00 in the morning. I'm a late nighter. I work late. And I would love for people to live close. So just sit in the kitchen with me alone at 2:00 in the morning. That's all you got to do. And you'll see what I'm seeing, because you really don't know what the hell you're looking at. And that's why I ask you these certain questions, like your thoughts on the entities, because I can't describe some of these things. I see animals crawling up a wall that don't even exist, like the size of a dog. But if there is no dog, and then I see a person, and then I see the next night I can see a big black mass of nothing just moving, and it's crazy, and I try to debunk it. I try to rule things out, but after a while, it's like, it's an open doorway for some reason.
Well, if it's a doorway, then it could be from wherever, right? Like in more than one wherever.
Right. I think that this house I think it's the whole block. It's the whole block. But I think this house is like the hub of it, and
Joe, I think we need to start something new. Late nights in the kitchen with Phil. Just sit there, have tea, and keep your eyes open. I'm not even making this up. I was on a radio show the other night talking about this. Like, it's true. It's you know what's interesting? It knows when I'm alone. So we had true ghost stories here back a couple of years ago. And I said, now you sit with me in this kitchen. They caught it. The same exact area. And there's a portal there that these things come and go. And you don't know what you're going to get. It's like a box full of nuts. You don't know who's coming through. You know, whether it's a demon or a person. I don't know. I can't describe it. It gets closer and closer. And that's why, you know, people like yourself with abilities and we communicate. I often wonder what else is listening to us when we communicate, you know?
Oh, yeah. I agree that they listen for sure. Like just not even necessarily investigating a house that's intensely active with high strangeness like your house, but even just going to an event that I'm doing, those spirits will start talking to me because I'll open up on the drive and go, okay, I'm open for business. So come on in. And I'm prepared a lot of times by the time I get there, because those people that have purchased tickets for those events already have been talking about it, thinking about it, preparing to go. They're excited. So their people know to show up. Right. So I think that they do. I think that those dimensional places are tapped in. If we're tapped into that collective consciousness of all of us, you know, they're picking up on our thoughts, feelings, emotions. I wonder if you paid attention to what your day is like, how that would track what comes through at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
If you're irritated, if it's the growly dog, if it's like kind of reasonable day, it's like just a person. I wonder if that would track somehow.
That's a good question.
I would say yes to that.
That's a good question.
Because would it mirror to you what your emotional state is? I don't know. I'm a questioner.
That is a good question. I would say yes. I mean, if you had a really bad day in the house, I mean, maybe you're more open to seeing things at night, or that kind of thing, right? That's
yeah.
For me, I tend to like block things out. I'm really good at like blocking it out. I mean, I do it all the time.
Yeah, but you won't stay in the kitchen with me 2 o'clock in the morning either. I asked you to stay up with me.
I was going to say that I'm not up that late, and I think that the bad things happen at night more than.
All right, everybody out there wants to be in the kitchen with Phil in Pennsylvania, late night tea.
Sean Kelly is saying yes. Sean Kelly
you can see what I'm saying, and everybody else sees that stays up 2 o'clock in the morning, but I can't get anybody else around here. But it's wild. It's definitely wild. And I look, it's real, right? We know these things are real from our abilities, and you can't deny it. I don't have explanations for everything. I don't. I don't know if
we ever will. Do you think that we ever will have explanations? No. I think that we're not allowed for a reason, because we're meant to find out after we die. I think that we're not allowed to know everything because we're supposed to have knowledge that comes to us after we die.
That is very, very true. Absolutely.
That's my thought.
Absolutely.
Sean's saying damn straight he'll sit with you, Phil.
I know. I'm trying to get to that comment, Phil. Did you see that? Sean Kelly said, I'm coming up there and I'm going to be, he's going to knock on the door and he's going to check it out with you at that time, I'm guessing.
It has to be late night in the kitchen with coffee or tea and observe for the unknown. Having said that, hey, with your abilities right now, do you see anything behind me or is anything with me?
So I don't. So do you have a towel, Julia? Do you have a towel? Do you know what I mean?
A towel?
A towel.
No. What does that mean?
Like, my kids know when something's going on for me. A lot of people that have watched me work consistently know when there's a towel when I'm picking up something, because I do this and then I got this going on. So there's usually, but you know what? I'm not necessarily tapping into, and it could be somebody that's connected to somebody that's crossed over, right? Like that's attached to the people in the comments that are here. Like, I don't know where it's going. I just know I got a smoker man.
Here we go. Let's put your abilities to work on the show tonight.
No.
I could tell she's probably blocked. She's blocked off right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at me,
it goes sideways so quickly, right? I don't know if you guys get those people, those imposter people or scammer people after you've done a show where people are doing readings and stuff after. That's so intense and it stresses me out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said, Leslie. We're not giving readings out tonight. And I don't let them come into my bedroom either. I am like, it's a no-go space. You do not come in, talk, touch. My bedroom is off limits. Like,
I guess like readings though and picking things up are kind of like a little different. And sometimes if they want to stand behind us, you can't really help but to see them.
yeah. And
that might happen.
It's funny because I was doing a full day of sessions out of town, and so my bedroom is I don't want them bugging me. I just want to sleep. At the end of my day, I'm doing sessions or work like this every day. So at nighttime, I don't want to be bugged. I just want to sleep. So I had fallen asleep on the couch. The couch is not a no-go zone, right? So this big burly dude in spirit wakes me up and taps me and yells boo in my face. Like his face was right in my face yelling boo. And I called him a not nice word, some salty words. I used some salty words. And he left laughing. Like he just left laughing. So then I drive my hour and a half to where I was doing sessions all day. The first lady comes into the room and I'm like, oh my goodness, there he is. Is your dad about 5'9", kind of stocky burly with the beard, and he yells boo in your face to wake you up for school? And she's like, yeah, that's my dad. And she's crying. I went, I called him a not nice word. And I am so sorry that I called him that this morning, but he woke me up in the living room this morning. Like they show up for sure.
Well,
for sure.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing too, that a lot of people don't understand. That it's like we're doing all these readings all day long, and we do block ourselves off and shut that down, but sometimes it happens and they will come through if they know that they can get through to people, and there's a message that they want to give somebody. Nothing is going sometimes nothing is going to stop them from
I agree.
coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a few months ago I did a reading, or Phil did a reading, I don't remember, but there was Alexa kept playing Spanish music. Remember, Phil?
yeah.
And it was I think it was someone for Phil. And he just wouldn't stop. And no matter what we said, Alexa, play the 80s, Alexa, play this. It would just
fun.
Go to the Spanish music. So someone was trying to, come in that way. We never really figured out who it was. I mean, again, you're doing multiple readings all the time.
Yeah.
You just can't put those pieces together. But
I get frustrated. I'm like, that shit's not working. You need to figure it a different way. That's not working.
It's not easy. And, it's just, it's a hard job.
It is. It's exhausting emotionally and physically.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's on your bucket list, moving forward
Places?
with what you do? Yes.
What's on my bucket list? I don't know. Maybe it's the Horsefly Chronicle house. Maybe it needs to be the Horsefly Chronicle house. I don't know. I don't really have a huge bucket list, to be honest with you, because things kind of pop in unexpectedly for me too. A place that I'm really drawn to are the tunnels in Paris. Like the tunnels with all the skulls, like where all those people are buried underneath Paris.
The catacombs?
Yes, the catacombs.
That's wild, yeah.
I am very pulled to like tunnel places.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. And you know what else? White Horse, like northern Canada, those places, like the gold rush places, those
Oh, the
places,
gold, yeah.
they're kind of pulling at me right now too.
We have a statement from Lori Ann. Our friend Lori Ann is in chat. I haven't slept in my bedroom for 2 weeks because I had an uneasy feeling in there.
Mm.
Well, I would, yeah, when that happens, I mean, I would just maybe sage it a little bit and do a couple of things to protect yourself, but hopefully, usually those things pass.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't worry about it too much unless it keeps happening.
And letting them know that you just don't agree to that.
Yeah, like
This
put
is
your
your
foot
space. I
down.
don't agree.
Put your foot down, Lori, and I
Mhm.
think, Lori, honestly, it's probably one of your loved ones that are, there, and you feel it. And sometimes even, and I say this all the time, sometimes our spirit guides scare us. So no matter
Yes.
how many readings have you done, that your spirit guides are coming through and your clients are getting scared, but they don't know that it's their spirit guides.
Yes, even how they present. And if you're telling, like, if you are just going along with it, they think that how they're doing it is working. So
Yeah.
if you tell them that it's uncomfortable, this is not jiving. You need to come in this way, so it's more comfortable for me. So that
to tell them,
yes,
I'm this is bothering me. I'm uneasy. Because that's probably what it is most of the time.
my daughter's pretty funny. She's like, if she gets uncomfortable, she says, "You better move on because I'm gonna go grab the salt." She's gonna go grab salt. I don't know what she thinks. She's like Dean Winchester from Supernatural, or what she thinks, but she's like, I'm gonna go grab the salt.
One of the hardest questions, because we perceive things in such a way that it's a belief system with our intent that we can tell a spirit to stay away. But let's really think about what we're saying here. Let's be rational. Now, we're talking about something you can't see, period. Now, maybe with abilities, you had some kind of a vision. And then you have a spirit come in and you say, no, this is my place, my room, leave. Well, is it because, follow me on this, is it because of our belief and our intent that we're saying with such meaning that they have to leave and give us our privacy?
So I would say yes. And I also feel whenever I've been uncomfortable, like when I was talking about the fellow with the face that was all elongated, I forgot at the beginning. I don't even know if forgot is the right word. I would say definitely ego at the beginning, very, very beginning, in doing this as a career, ego at the very beginning, and thinking that I was the one doing this. And it's not. Like we have spirit guides that intervene. The information is coming from source through us. I'm just the in between. It's not really me giving the message. It's coming from here and just coming through me, right? So I find that once I understood, I kind of got knocked on my arse at the beginning for sure. Got schooled that this is not about me. This is about being of service for something bigger. So if that's in a belief system, I wasn't raised with church at all, but I would have my grandmother come in first and what I believe is Archangel Michael right behind her. So whenever I felt uncomfortable, they would come in close until I felt comfortable and shift that energy for me. So I still feel like if there's something that is in this space, that I have that protection. And light came first, then the dark. So I just stand in my light.
I like that. Good explanation. I like it.
Lori said it's her son messing with her. I think so because he's very funny, Lori. So I would say that could be true. So don't be scared.
Yeah.
It's very it's.
Any more questions in chat?
Let's see what we've got here.
Well, hello everyone. I did say hi, hello. So hello everyone.
People in here.
There's a lot of fun people.
Jennifer, I thank them for coming. If they came into my bedroom, and kindly tell them, nope, not allowed to be with me in my room. This is more of a statement, and I would see them the next morning. Oh, okay. Sometimes
Hi,
that does
Grant.
that works sometimes, not all the time, Jennifer, but that is true. I guess it depends on the spirit. Sometimes they'll listen, sometimes they won't. Right?
Yeah. Grant is part of the TOPS paranormal team here in
Oh,
Ontario.
hi, Grant.
He probably would be interested in your house for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, the only problem is we live out in Pennsylvania.
yeah.
That's a trip.
Oh, Sean.
It's definitely, yeah.
It's interesting. It really is interesting. And the communication that, look, when you cross over, it's not the end game, right? That's the good news, right? It's not the end game. And we can communicate. And sometimes can be confusing of who we think we're speaking to. But, if it's a loved one, they'll give you that validation, like you'll feel that ease with them. And then if it's something else, there's other things that we don't know yet. So there's things that we can communicate with that we really don't know who we're speaking to.
There you go. Where's Sweet Springs? Where's that?
Springs in August. Yeah, where is that? I don't know. I would have to Google.
But it's fun, and they'll have to come on either show and tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Virginia.
Carrie, now I don't. What do you think about the demonic demons? I mean, have you ever done residential cases? Let's start with that. Have you ever worked on a residential case?
Like indigenous residential homes?
Right. Yes.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Would you ever do that?
Like on a residential home, like for indigenous,
like hours, like a private home.
Oh, residential. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, I've done all that. I'm like, I thought you were talking because we've had so much happen up here in Canada with residential schools, like for our indigenous populations, and that was horrible bit of business. So residential homes, like people's homes, yes. So tell me your question again. Sorry that I went sideways.
Have you ever worked on a residential home, and did any of them really leave a mark on you?
I don't necessarily think that any have left. There was a home which is interesting, was one of those residential hospitals that closed down, and there was tunnels underneath, and then the residential subdivision was built. So it was similar to, like you were saying, like your house, you think it's the block. That's what I saw too, where I was having to clear these spirits and send them, like cross them over, because they were confused. These people that had been trapped at that hospital. There's lots. I don't know. I don't think that there's one that's been particularly standout. They all are, right? At the time, each one is. We did one a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still trying to process it, but it's an empty home. It's not one that somebody's living in.
Okay.
But it has, like, there's things, Phil, that I'm not quite sure what they are yet. And I'm pretty sure that we caught it on camera too, like these elongated, I just kept seeing these elongated forms coming up from the dirt room that I don't know what they were. Elongated black masses.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Oh yeah.
Black masses.
People that are having trouble selling their homes too, and then when you go in, it's like their dog in spirit is standing by the door, making people uncomfortable. Move the ashes out of the house, and people will feel better. And I've not, and I have gone to some residential homes too, where they feel it's there's a haunting going on, and it's emotions from somebody in the house who's sensitive that's projecting it out and creating their own poltergeist experience, and then been in other homes where there's really nothing there. It's stuff that's explainable. So there's that too. And not everybody wants to hear that the stuff in their house is explainable.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Joni, I believe my dog sees my daughter, but they never met. I've gotten to where I just tell her to stop messing with the dog, and I can't feel or see her. Oh, okay. What do you have to say about that, Carrie?
I believe my dog sees my daughter, but they've never met. So, but they have. That's the thing. I hear that a lot, where they would have never been in this house. How can they describe it? Or they've never connected. But they do. In the spirit world, they're going to be able to see and connect with everything that we are experiencing, because they have they're invested in us being as happy and joyful as possible, so we can be more of service, right? So yeah, she's probably there connecting, just to let you know that she's, and the best way for her to connect, because sometimes they're trying to connect with subtle ways that you miss. You could be so busy during the day that you're missing the subtle ways that she's trying to connect. And so that's the way that she sees you responding to.
Right. I always say that sometimes we're just so busy with life, or we're blocked, and we don't know we are, but maybe because grief could block us from seeing what we crave to see, and that happens a lot too.
Agreed. Grant, I have not worked collaboratively with anyone in a religious sect to help clear a space, but I'd be open to it if somebody reached out, for sure. Have you guys? Well, you guys have, right? You've had religious people come to your space.
Yes. And what happens is we've had priests here from churches, and what happens is the things here are very, very smart, and they'll hide. And it sounds insane, but
no, I understand. There's a place that we investigated pretty regularly, and those spirits would play hide and seek, depending on who the people were that were there to investigate. They liked some, didn't like others, and they would play hide and seek.
Exactly. And then when they leave a day or a few hours, it's kind of worse. So
and I kind of, I mean, not kind of. I'm unsure if I believe that we can clear a space. I'm not sure that we actually can. I don't. We may calm it for a bit, and then whatever happens, I'm just not sure that I have never said that I've cleared a space completely, because
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because there are places, many, many places and homes and locations and that you cannot clear. And I think that's something that no one really wants to admit.
I do. I'll say it out loud. Because we don't know what we really don't know everything.
And you're not, especially when you're not dealing with just one thing. I mean,
you don't know.
Our house, for example, there's so much. There's not one person.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds.
And the people in this space have to be responsible for their space as well too. Are they going to do the follow-up and the follow-through and do what they need to do within their own space? People need to be educated as well too on how to have accountability for their space and personal healing.
Yes. And you have to have the whole family on board.
Yes.
So say, if you have teenagers and kids that, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I mean, everybody's got to be on board. And
sorry, hon.
We've dealt with that.
And I find too, people lie. people may have their own agenda in why they want you to come to their space. They may want the haunted space. They may want the reputation of that. That may be branding for them. And if you come in with a different agenda that doesn't align with what their intention is, you're going to go nowhere too, right? If people are very stuck. So I don't do a whole lot of investigations within homes. It's pretty selective, honestly. And that's partially why, because I won't say that I can completely clear a space, because there's more to it than that. It's not that cut and dry.
Phil, what do you have to say about that?
Well, we had Bill Bean on our show years ago, and his childhood home, he said that they couldn't get rid of it. And he had a pretty bad life when he grew up. Like, it was really difficult for him. And but he said that they couldn't clear it. He has the ability to help people, but that particular location where he grew up, it has a stronghold of negative energy, and certain places, I'm yet to.
And you don't know how the door opens. You don't know how the door opens, so you don't know the right way to close it either. However, that may have happened. And a space that I had gone into, you could see that this person was doing rituals in their home, and when I asked, was vehemently denied, even though it was obvious to me there was conjuring happening, and did not want to admit it. So I get frustrated with people. So I ask a few questions, and if it doesn't feel right for me to investigate, then I don't, because I don't want to bang my head against the wall, and I don't want to attach my name to something like that either, which may make me sound bad, but that's where my boundary's at.
It absolutely doesn't. I mean, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions in chat, Jewel? I see one just pop up. I just can't see the words.
You might have answered that. Have you ever worried? I can't see. Kerrilynn, can you see that?
Yeah. Have I ever worked collaboratively with a religious sect to help clear a space? And I would be open to talking to somebody about that, but I've not done that.
Yeah.
I think we kind of covered that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think there's a lot of just statements.
And then our Sean Kelly is asking if Spirit does have a message for him tonight. But I'm gonna message him after.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's just, I feel like we just end up with more questions than answers.
That's what I feel, Spirit. That's what I feel, high strangeness, paranormal, the spirit world. I think it is a deep dive down a rabbit hole that we will never know all the answers. And I love asking all the questions. Yeah. I love not even knowing all the answers. I just love having the experience and the wonder of it. I wonder what it could be. I wonder all the possibilities, right? Exactly. There's so many different dimensions and beings and factions, and I respect it all, because I don't understand or claim to know or be an expert of any of it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. There's no expert in any of this. We're all learning and teaching, and there's seasoned investigators. But no one's an expert in anything.
Agreed.
I hate that word.
I know we can have lots of experiences, right? That certainly give us the tools to maneuver through things. But I wouldn't say I'm an expert at much.
Me neither.
Even I used to teach. Well, I haven't taught it in a few years. The last time I taught it, I think, was 2018 or 2019, a spiritual parenting course, because that's kind of where I started, right? Was with all of this parenting. And my kids used to laugh all the time. I can't believe that you teach a parenting course. You get so mad at me. I can't believe that you teach a parenting course because I'm like, is this my stuff or your stuff? You need to be responsible for this. This is not my stuff. And then I go, I can't believe you teach a parenting.
Well, this hour flew by like it always does. Thank you for everyone in chat. Fleetwood Paranormal just came in. Hello, exactly. Yes, thank you for popping in. Thank you for everybody for joining us. Kerrilynn, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
Fun, good. It was a fun show that went by really fast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And Phil, the other book came 3 days after you were on my show. So after our segment, the other book came in. So I could fill in the gaps. Some of those gaps got filled in.
Oh, did you get a chance to read it?
Yep. Yeah. It came 3 days after that segment, which was great.
Awesome.
Kim
Purpura, you were here too. Thank you for being here.
Oh, yes, Kim and Leslie, thank you for joining us. Special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring this show from day one. And join us next Monday night on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Everyone have an amazing night. Thank you.
Good night.